You have a project to change a driver in 3 or 4 subprograms. During testing, your changes do not appear to be happening. Since the expected results are not showing, you wonder if your code is running. This video explains how to turn on a COBOL 6.4 feature to get a report of COBOL programs that are invoked. This is Dinosaur Parkour, faster, better mainframe programming. I'm Chris P. Fried. COBOL 6.4 introduced the ability to request a report of dynamically called COBOL programs. In this video, learn what is shown on the report, what the report does not show you, how to request the report, how it might lie to you. That lying part is interesting. I explain how I think the report can be new. This is how the report looks. It is 78 bytes wide. The name is Dynamically Called Program Report. It shows the program name, 8 characters or less, the compiler version that created the executable, and the timestamp of the compile. This flowchart shows the program called by test COBOL 5A. Dynamically called programs that were canceled are listed at the bottom. 5D was called dynamically, then canceled. Notice 5C. That program was called statically, and it appears on the report. That means the title of the report is a tad misleading, Dynamically Called Program Report. I think it's great that statically called COBOL programs are on the report. Currently, all the programs shown on the report were compiled using COBOL 6.4. The second line of the heading states that only COBOL 5 and later are on the report. What is not on this report? Programs that are not invoked at execution time are not on the report. Duh. That subprogram that is invoked on the 5th processing day of January will not be on this report because it is October. Assembly programs and any other non-COBOL program. COBOL programs compiled with Enterprise 4.2 or prior do not appear on this report. Byte to hex, which is written in assembler, is not listed. A31BR14 is on the report with a compile date of October 19th. 5B calls 5C statically, both are on the report. 5D appears in the cancel section, and 5E is on the report. 5O is not on this report either because it was compiled with COBOL 4.2. This sysout shows that 5O ran. That's the display from the program. What happened when 5O is compiled using COBOL 6.3? This is the report after 5.0 was compiled with 6.3. It does appear on the report, and the compile version shows R03. It is time to explain how to request the report. Code the DD in the JCL. Yes, it is that easy. Provided your shop has the COBOL 6.4 runtime libraries installed, you get a report of the programs that were invoked during the run and are compiled with COBOL 5 or higher. Here is the Run JCL. Simply code a DD for IGZPROUT in this step. The letters IGZ are the prefix for the COBOL runtime program. We will send the output to sysout. I think sending the output to sysout is the easiest way to see the report. If you want to use the dataset, define it as fixed block file. You can leave the LRECL off if you wish. In this case, the file is created with an LRECL of 121. It can also be defined as fixed block and LRECL 80. Basically, an LRECL of 78 or greater seems to work. Can the report lie? Yes, it can. 5E is one of the programs that is invoked dynamically. The program ID has been changed from 5E to be 5Z. The display was not changed and the member name was not changed. There's still 5E. This shows the compiler listing. COBOL thinks the program is named 5Z. The display still says 5E. The compile date is October 26th at 13:01:08. Let me repeat the time. 8 seconds after 13:01. Parts of the program binder even think it's 5Z. However, what is saved in the load lib is 5E. Test COBOL 5E was saved in dino.loadlib. Thus, 5E is the name of the executable object. Here is the report. 5E is the last program invoked, so it's the first program listed on the report. The first program on this report says 5Z. The compile date is October 26th at 8 seconds after 13:01. Which is what the compile listing had. There is the lie. The executable member is 5E, but the report shows 5Z. To understand how this occurs, we need to look at the JCL used to compile the program. Line 59. The name of the executable controlled by giving the executable a specific member name. The executable has the same name as the source member on line 55. A best practice for source control management states, when possible, ensure the executable name is the same name as the source member. Line 59 is one way to enforce that guideline. If your shop uses this technique, you might encounter a program that lies. The lying occurs when the program ID is not the same name as the source member. Do I think this report is useful? Yes, absolutely. Is it good for getting a list of all the subprograms? No, it's a partial list. I suspect that IBM created this report so that programmers or even system operators can determine which programs have been recompiled using COBOL 5 or higher. That implies you already have a complete list of COBOL programs. But it can tell you which programs are being invoked during processing. This information could be collected and stored in a database for critical steps that invoked hundreds of subprograms. I worked in a shop where there was a batch step that invoked over 300 subprograms. It would have been very useful to know which programs were invoked on the various processing days, and since the shop processed for multiple clients, knowing which client invokes which program would have been useful. For programmers, it gives them a way to quickly see which programs were invoked during their testing and when those programs were compiled. If you are testing changes in 3 subprograms, then this report can confirm if your test run invoked the 3 subprograms. It also gives the compile date and time, which can be used to confirm that your version of the code was run. If you suspect a production job is running the wrong version of a COBOL program, add the report DD to the problem step and get a list of the COBOL program and their compile stamp. Yes, I think the Call COBOL Program Report can be a very useful tool. I will say this, I really wish IBM had put the load library on this report. That would make this report awesomely useful. Any IBMers listening, look at the logic for the load and executable action in ISR-DDN utility. There is some code in there that tells where a program was loaded from. This shows the CSV query for IGZPROUT. Fault Analyzer also contains logic to determine from where an executable is loaded. I think showing the load lib will make the dynamic call COBOL program report way more useful. This has been another episode of Dinosaur Parkour. Faster, better, mainframe programming. Thank you for listening. Please consider subscribing to the Dinosaur Parkour channel if you found this video useful. There should be a subscribe icon on the screen.